ready to go. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. It is August 5th, 6:30 p.m. This is the date and time for our August committee meeting. We are meeting as a committee of the whole. I do call this meeting to order. Initial piece of business, just like to publicly announce that the board met in executive session on July 8th to discuss personnel issues, specifically to conduct evaluation for Dr. Messinger, our superintendent. His evaluation is posted publicly on the district's website. And Gary, on behalf of the board, just want to say again, thank you for an excellent year last year. Very pleased with your leadership. We're grateful for it. We're looking forward to an even better year this year. So thank you. Absolutely. Great. Okay. Presentations any this evening? I don't believe so.
We're going to sneak
Okay,
Dr. Reist in just to give a construction update.
I apologize. I'll be in attendance virtually next week, so I thought it was best to give an update here. Kirk, that picture that I sent you, are you able to put that up on the screen? I thought as I was doing a building walkthrough last week, I came across this, and I thought that it's probably telling of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. Now, I want to give you some context here. This is a wall section between one of the gang lavatories. So if you're familiar, this would be the women's restroom that's in the teens hall, married up to the men's restroom that was in the tech ed hall, so lower level. This is the sewer riser that runs behind the toilets. Do you see what's in the middle there? A huge hole.
Nothing.
Yes, our sewer line in the wall had a huge hole in it. This is the reason we're doing renovation right here. Anyhow, I thought that was a telling sign and just wanted to show you, that there's validity to what we're doing and reasons why we're doing it. Some updates. We're coming down the stretch of a typical summer, right? You look at the building and you say, it's not going to be ready. The reality is it'll be ready. Some things in the schedule have changed based on the asbestos work that had to be done this summer and the timing of that, threw some things off track. And so, like, one of the things that you'll notice is that they're going to have the exterior envelope sealed in. So we'll have walls up, even though the exterior finish won't be in place until later. And that's going to be seen in areas like the teens hallway, which is in a later phase to be turned over, but you'll notice that work going on. Some exciting things you'll recall last year, places like the 20s hall, we had patched up flooring in the corridor for the entire year. Up until the terrazzo in the hallway, it's now got VCT tile in place, and you'll see that like VCT tile over top of the terrazzo by the auditorium. So where we had cracks in the floor that have been evident for years coming out of what was the high school cafeteria and the auditorium entrance there, they're now gone. So you'll see major improvements and major changes. Dr. Messinger has arranged for a tour next week for the board.
5:30. I'll send details on where to meet.
Okay. 5:30 next week, and details will be forthcoming so that you can get in and get a view of what's going on in the building. As far as the return for teachers, we don't have that set yet. Remember that we have to earn our occupancy permit for areas of the building before we can have the areas of the building occupied. And as a typical summer brings, that'll come down to the wire, and we hope to have more information after our construction meeting on Wednesday. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Reist. Appreciate it. Okay, understand there is no public comment this evening, so we'll move immediately to the committee meeting, establishing the consent calendar for next week and items for discussion. We do have quite a large number of items to discuss this evening and to determine whether that will be on discussion. So I think what we'll do is, unless there's an objection, I think what we'll do is we'll just ask Dr. Messinger to go through each of these, ask for questions. If you would like to move something to the discussion calendar, please speak up. I'm not going to ask for everyone, but if there's a lot of questions or if there's a number of questions, I'll probably make a judgment call and move it to discussion as well. So unless there's any objection, I think that's how we'll proceed since it is a fairly long agenda for this evening. Okay, great. Dr. Messinger.
Okay. The first one should be easy. It's our normal approval of minutes, so should be okay on that one. As we move to human resources, to be truthful, August is often a time where we have a ton of things, but we were actually fairly well staffed at the June meeting. Thank you, Mrs. Bruce. So we do have a couple of employments. We have the secondary school counselor that we are adding for this year, and then also redesignating Riley Cox from paraprofessional to classified substitute. We have a custodian that resigned for retirement, the purpose of retirement, effective June 30th. That is listed there for you. We have credit recovery over the summer, and we were still working on finalizing that list when we had the June meeting, but that list is there for you to ratify. They worked with the credit recovery students over the course of the summer. We have some teachers that are eligible for salary advancements. You can see that list there, and August would be the time where we would approve those. We do this annually. We have co-curricular positions in both the secondary and the elementary. Those are club advisors, grade level leaders, et cetera. They are all listed for you on those documents. Each year we evaluate our game help and our weight room monitor pay. These are positions that are very much needed and appreciated. However, a lot of folks do it just for the love of being able to help Northern Lebanon. You're not going to get rich doing it, but we did consistently, as we raised a lot of things, 3 to 3.5%, we did a 3.5% increase for those positions. The only one that was slightly different was the weight room monitor. We discovered that was done in a very odd way. We were paying a dollar amount for a session. The session sometimes is an hour, sometimes it's an hour and a half, sometimes it's 2 hours, which makes no sense. So we changed it to an hourly pay, but the rest of those are listed. I'll stop there and take a breath if you have any thoughts, comments, or want to move any of those.
Okay, hearing none.
Okay. We also have our substitute list, getting that ready for the year with the list of everyone that's coming back and some new folks that is there for you. As you know, that's listed every month with additions and subtractions. Substitute pay rate. I sent you an email today. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. If you look at the county rates that I sent, we are behind. And we were at 130 last year. We're recommending a $10 increase. And I'll be truthful, $10 still puts us at the bottom. Palmyra and us, I believe. And those have gone up through the county, and we have not. But I think it's time for us to take a look at those and start to increase them. I mentioned in a communication that while we want to raise them, with the budget that we have this year and not having a state budget, it's easier for us to do it in increments than in one humongous chunk, but it'll be something we're going to have to look at, I think, every year for the next few years and just make sure we are staying on pace with the other school districts.
I got a question about that.
Yeah.
Do we have any other incentives? I know some of the districts, if you do X amount, there's more benefits of showing up. Do we do anything to incentivize
our day-to-day subs, which we have, the building subs, I should say, which we have 4 of, also get benefits. Our day-to-day subs do not. If you're in a special needs a special education classroom, then you do get an additional amount of money that's there. I know that some school districts are getting creative with Fridays, and if you work on a Friday, it's a little more. Okay. We're discussing those possibilities for the future, but it was time to get this in place for this year. So based on kind of where we were and just knowing where everyone else was, this was what we had put down. But yeah, there's I think people are starting to get creative. We are blessed. We have a fairly good fill rate, to be honest. I think that's a testament to, they want to come work with our kids and our teachers, but, so we're a little bit better off than, say, maybe a city school might be in terms of getting subs, but it does get harder and harder every year. Okay, this is one we talked about last year, and certainly open to thoughts on this. Once again, the state recommended a 10-cent increase for us. I did send, again, the prices from around the county. As you can see, we are, again, one of the, I think the cheapest, maybe someone in the secondary is a nickel more, a nickel less, maybe. Yeah, something like that. But we're toward the bottom. I did have, this is a 10-cent, this is the 10-cent increase, although we, as I mentioned again in my communication, we are in pretty good shape with the cafeteria fund. We just don't want to be in a position where we'd have to jump at 15 or 20 cents. I prefer the small increments. Someone actually suggested to me maybe a nickel raise, which might be actually a great compromise. It takes a step, but it doesn't increase the full 10 cents. So certainly open to discussion on that. Matter of fact, would prefer if anybody has any thoughts now, because I could adjust that for next meeting and get the number where the board would like it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm the one that suggested
Yeah.
the 5 cents. As long as the lunch fund is in good shape, I think 5 cents is probably good instead of 10. Again, we don't want to go behind and catch up, like you were saying, Gary, 15, 20 cents down the road. But
Yeah. Would people be comfortable with a nickel? Would you be comfortable with a nickel?
I'm fine with that. So I'll explain a little bit more about the state. So they basically, I think I tried to explain it last year, they don't want the free and reduced lunches subsidizing the paid lunches because they give us more money for the free lunches than what our students are paying. So that's why they suggest to us to increase it. Their minimum suggestion is the 10 cents. I'm fine with the 5 cents if that's what we want to do. I do want to let you know that the reason our cafeterias are doing well is because of the à la carte sales, which means that our students are bringing in extra money to buy the goodies at lunch. So I'm fine with whatever we do as long as we can fluctuate with the à la carte sales and make a profit there. I'm okay with that as well.
I know I'm asking you to project into the future, but do you think the state would then say 15 or 20 next year, or do you think it'd probably come out about
They are
the
telling
same?
us to do more than 10 cents right now. They are suggesting that our minimum be 10 cents is what they're suggesting. So they're asking us to move it up, but I mean, I've, knock on wood, haven't had an audit where they came in and came down on us for this, which I feel like is kind of putting myself out there. But yeah, it's whatever. I'm comfortable with doing the 5 cents if we want to take it easy on folks this year. I'm okay with that. Our cafeteria is looking, oh, well, we have the free breakfast still too.
Any other questions or comments? Any thoughts on the 5 cent as opposed to 10? We can make that modification. I mean, unless there's opposition, we can make that modification for next week. Put it on the
I will
agenda.
change those numbers for next week.
Dr. Williams, looked like you had something to say.
I have a lot to say, but it's not going to go anywhere, so I think everybody knows where I stand on this, so, I mean, I'd still like to see us, if we can do free. I mean, I know it's not in the cards, but I still think.
And I
guess
didn't
my-
run the numbers this year to see what it
You
would do
did?
for, I did not, I'm
You did
sorry.
not?
To
Okay.
run the numbers to give everyone free lunch, but I believe last year it would have been at a loss to district
Right,
of like
yeah.
100-some
Yeah,
thousand.
we went through
So
that last year. and
I'm
so-
assuming we would still be in the same boat. They didn't change very much for us up there.
So
with
let me ask
allocating
you
it to
this.
us.
I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but are we finding, at least in the secondary school, we finding more students doing the à la carte rather than the simple school lunch?
Yes, at the secondary level, I would say so. I mean, you have your folks that come through and get the free lunches, but even if they're a paying student and they're getting a bought lunch, they are typically getting à la carte added onto it, you know, like a cookie for $1 or something like that.
I think that's a really fair discussion for us to have. So Director Williams, Vice President, I'm going to charge you to bring that up during our budget discussion, because I think that's where we would probably need to have that discussion if that's a route that we want to talk about doing. So
Right.
in the winter time, I think we should, incorporate that in our budget
And when I say
conversation.
that we have a healthy the cafeteria fund, the food service fund is healthy. If we did the free lunches, we would wipe out that healthiness in
Right.
about a year. And then we would be subsidizing that from the general fund, just to put that out there. And if you recall, I'm going to go back in my time and say when I first came here, we did work really hard to wipe away about a $900,000 negative fund balance in that food service. So I'm just putting that out there. I will gladly run the numbers and do that again for you. But let's just keep that in mind, that it would eventually be subsidized by your general fund, which would be why it would be a budget talk.
Yes, I certainly don't want to go backwards, but.
Right. No,
I
we're
still
in a,
like
we're in
to-
a
I
good
still like
spot
to be
now.
able
It's something to
explore it
consider.
from time to time to see if it's even feasible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We will
You want me to move it?
move it to discussion. Yeah, let's move it to discussion.
Yep.
I'm seeing some heads nodding. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're reimbursing us at a higher rate and giving us discounts on the food we purchase. So they're saying, you know, we want your paid students to pay so that it's not, that you're getting more for the free and reduced than what your paid student should be paying. It's called.
So if
the-
they're giving us $3 for a free meal,
Yes.
they want the regular price to be the same.
Correct. It's
Because
called
the
the lunch
state's-
equity calculator. It's so that it's like the same price lunch for everybody. So what they're saying now is they're paying more for the free kids than what our paid kids are paying. Which is so confusing because
Yeah.
I agree with everyone, and I mean, I don't want to beat this too hard, but I mean, at one sentence, they're telling us you can give everyone free lunches and it's okay to have a negative account balance, but then if you're not going to give everyone free lunches, we're going to tell you to raise the price for it.
Right.
So it's just like everything else that comes down from up there, so that's why whatever you guys feel comfortable doing, I support.
Do we have any say in what the state gives us for free lunches, or it's just a set number?
It's just that number.
A set number. Okay.
No, if you know a way to get a
Yeah, I have
say
one
in our
other
budget.
question on it. So even the regular, just the standard lunch, is that also subsidized by the state? Because I know if, you know, the kid buys a second lunch, then that rate is much higher than just the regular lunch.
Right, we do get some subsidy for all paid lunches, and they consider the subsidy the fact that we get like USDA foods and things like that. So, you know, the district is getting food at a much less cost than what you or I will get at the grocery store. So it is all subsidized at some level for students, obviously, because there's very few places you can go to and get what you get on a tray for $2.85.
Great.
So I'm just curious, as having kids who have purchased money that didn't have it in their account, we get phone calls. What do we do with that? Do we write that off at the end of the year? And how much would that be?
We do. So there was a law passed a couple years ago that at the end of the school year, whatever is negative, so if, I'll use my own kid as an example. So if Jace owes $15 at the end of the school year, over the summertime, if he doesn't come in and pay that off by like mid-July, August, the school district has to zero that account out for him. Everyone gets to come to school with either a positive, so if you had $15, like if my daughter Adeline had $15 extra, she gets to come back to school with $15 still in her account, but Jace's negative 15 is put to zero. So you can't start the school year in negative. You get to start the school year nice and fresh and clean, and the school district just wipes that out for you.
So how much do we do?
It's over $1,000, yeah.
I like this.
If they don't pay, yes. And we do have sorry, this is a really long lunch discussion. I apologize. We do, but I want you to have a full
I
understanding.
withdraw it. We're just keeping them the same.
We have individuals in the community who donate, and they do write off a significant number. Like throughout the school year, a couple times I'll go in and zero it out so that those kids don't have to go through the cashier line every time and hear like, oh, you have a negative balance. So a couple times a year, we zero them out for them so they can start free and buy a la carte or whatever they want to and put themselves back in the hole if they wish. So we do that because we have people in the community who donate to those causes. So
I'm going to propose that you do a workshop on school lunches for them.
it's exhausting.
I do like the fact that they let them go in the negative. You never worried about your kid gonna go hungry because they don't have money in their account.
Yeah.
Right, once
So-
they go in the negative, we do try to enforce the no à la carte items, but they can always get a school lunch, yes. So they're not going to go hungry.
Right.
And they can always get the breakfast too.
Yep. Okay,
Now I'm hungry.
all right. All right, not anything to do with food. 610 is the MOU that we do with the state police and the school district. We also have, it is that time again, to reappoint Officer Lauber as our school resource officer.
May I say something about this one?
Yeah.
This one is slightly different than what you've been passing in recent years. Most recently, the recommendation from the solicitor's office has been to do an annual appointment. And that has now changed to be a perpetual appointment so that it's going to be in place until such time that that Officer Lauber's employment terminates with us. So the language is a little different if you're doing a comparison year over year, but the effect is the same as for what you're doing.
Great.
Our list of bus drivers is there, as well as our list of bus stops for the next school year.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the remaining personnel items? Okay, then the rest will be on the consent calendar.
Okay, our student activity account will be, numbers will be listed for you, as well as our cash disbursements. Those are monthly items that we approve every time. Elementary book orders, they are listed there for you. If you had, I hope you got the second email with these three. There was one attached before, but then they made some tweaks and added a few. Not major changes, but those are listed there for you as well. And then, well, the Geneva College is a dual enrollment agreement. We are continually adding those as they become available to us. And when a student is taking classes, then we reach out and try to get a dual enrollment agreement from those. We have the annual agreement with Lebanon County Head Start. They do a nice job for us every year. And then I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bastek Jones to go over the next 4 items.
Okay, so 8.4 is between Capital Academy. That's a new placement for us. They take students who have needs within emotional support or autistic support. So we have an agreement with them. We potentially have 1 student there. The Vista School, we do these annually. It's just the regular school year contracts. We have 4 students there. And New Story, excuse me, same thing. We do these annually. We have 3 students there. Any questions about any of those before I do ATSI?
Did you say we have any students with Vista at the moment?
Yeah, we have 4.
4 with Vista?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That one student that would potentially be at this new one.
Capital.
Is that part of their instructional program then?
Yes. Yeah.
Specifically to go there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, 8.7 is ATSI. That's just our annual plan for school improvement. The thing to just draw your attention to is that we're adding in co-teaching at secondary. We're really excited about it, finally. Our special education teachers have been scheduled to be in with general education. They'll have training the last week in August. It's newer for us. They were doing it before, but now we just are able to schedule more and support the students. So the plan is there. If you have any feedback and want to schedule a time to chat about it, I'm happy to do that.
All right.
Any questions on those?
Thank you.
Okay, our senior class trip for next year, which is to New Jersey, which is a really cool opportunity for them. All of our overnight and out-of-state FFA trips that we have planned at this point are listed there for you. Most of those are annual. The next 2 items, I think we'll go to discussion. The first is an agreement with New Covenant for a baseball co-op consideration. I know there's some concerns about that. I've looked into a couple of things. I've looked into whether or not we can charge students that do not live in the district. I looked into whether or not we could limit it to students that live in the district based on some questions. Brooke is with us. She helped gather some information for us. I'm going to ask her, Brooke, would you just give a summary kind of the do's and don'ts here with this? And then ultimately, we'll have to make a decision if it's something we're interested in or not.
Yes, I'm happy to do so. I mean, there's a number of moving parts when you work through these types of agreements. And I certainly understand the desire to kind of maintain it to just residents only. But there are complications relative to like PIAA and their approval of these cooperative agreements, and you kind of have to follow along certain like structures that they put in place. And one of those things is that you cannot totally eliminate like the participation of non-residents when you enter into an agreement with a private school. But ultimately, PIAA may in fact not permit non-resident private school students to participate because of PIAA rules. So they have a basic philosophy on cooperative agreements that essentially say, like, we're gonna have problems if you disqualify students based on residence, but ultimately, relative to competition rules, they might actually make some rulings on that. You can certainly charge a fee relative to levels of participation, but more importantly, if and when you enter into these types of cooperative agreements, you have to follow what's been college settlement agreement that kind of outlines the parameters of how you can agreements and how they are facilitated throughout the PIAA system. I outlined a lot of that in an email to Gary, which there are tons of different aspects to relative to transportation and charging fees and things like that. But I think the two main questions the board had, at least as sent over by Gary, were about charging, and there are opportunities for charging, and about this like concept of limiting participation within the agreement itself. I think maybe in implementation, those exclusions might actually happen, but on its face, it's not going to be something a PIAA tolerates. So that's the broad scope, Gary. I don't know how much more detailed you want me to get.
No, I think that's fine. I really think when you look at this, that there's three simple things, three ways to go. We can go yes and see what happens with PIAA in terms of ruling of eligibility, and that would be student to student. We can vote no, and then we don't have to worry about PIAA. Or the only other option would be to vote yes, but then add a participation fee of some sort. I don't, based on the input that you gave, I don't know that any of the other options that I threw out there would work. So, which is fine, but I think those are the three options. So at this time, if anybody, I know there's a couple people that have some thoughts, but anyone that wants to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I have a couple concerns. We have a pretty great baseball team right now, and in my opinion, I feel like it's going to keep getting better with some kids I see coming up. While the ninth graders don't have a big class, they're sandwiched in between two great classes. I think I counted like 13 kids in the upcoming class after the ninth graders. So if participation is an issue, I think it's really just a one-year thing. It's a very temporary thing. And I don't really just want to, I don't think it's a good idea to just make a one-year agreement with the school. But then again, most importantly, I think NL Kids First, nothing's stopping that private school to being a staging. It goes into the public versus private PIAA thing. Like they're a private school. They could easily become a destination school for a great Northern Lebanon team and just pump out ringers. Now, I'm not saying they do that, but there's nothing stopping that. And then what about all the NL kids that come up through the system, the youth, and the parents that's paid taxes as residents? we even make youth teams pay to use our fields. And I don't like the idea of inviting other kids to potentially play over them. I think it's a big deal. You know, after a game, teachers are there, your friends are there, and they're like, hey, good job. You know, that's good mental health for our kids. That's good culture. And the more that happens, I think the better off our NL kids are. So I'd hate to see those opportunities be taken away from them. I mean, I even look at it as in extracurriculars. I don't think we would open up different roles in a musical because we don't like our kids. We would say, you did great, you know. And then I also have the concern of what happens, how do we regulate this? What stops other coaches from saying, oh man, down here, what do we do? How can baseball did it, why can't we? I'm afraid of opening the door for more opportunity for that to happen, which goes back to my other points of just putting NL kids first. And those are my main thoughts on that. I'm afraid of where it could go. I think one of the reasons why New Covenant's looking for a school is because these agreements are so temporary and things occur all the time, things that we're not, not even thinking about, like parents are passionate about sports, behavior, how do we police that? These things are very temporary. I don't want to open the door for other teams, especially if we have really healthy programs. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Is the idea that we're having a potential down year in baseball driving this, or was this brought to us by?
No, I mean, it was brought to us by New Covenant. It just happens to coincide with a very small class that's coming, but no, I think the baseball community is tight-knit. I think that there are kids that go to New Covenant that have been playing at Anvil or would have played at Anvil when they had this agreement, but have been in youth organizations. And I think that coaches in general, and I'll say again the baseball community, because I think it stems from a lot of different people, want to give these kids an opportunity to play somewhere. There's different advantages and different disadvantages for every district, and in a school like Anvil, I'll say, they're very much on the borderline between classifications. So some additional students that would count for them could potentially, and I don't know why they decided not to do it anymore, but some students there could potentially move them classifications. And there's other ramifications if you go to a large school like Cedar Crest. They're not going to go up a classification, but they also have pretty high numbers already. So I think they approached us. I think one of the player, I believe there's 4. One of them played in the Northern London Little League, although they don't reside in Northern London, and one of them does reside in Northern London, and that may be why they reached out to us.
I thought that there was something, and maybe this is more with like a charter school than it is with a private school, because I know those are different, but I thought if there wasn't something offered at a private school or a charter school, that they could participate in, are there ramifications if we don't let our district students play?
A student that's in a charter school that does not have the extracurricular activity that we have, we have to allow to play.
Okay.
And that would be in our board policy as well.
Because the charter school is technically a public school.
Okay.
But a private school is
Doesn't
different.
fall under that.
Homeschool students we allow
Okay.
as well, but
Okay.
not private school students.
Okay.
Didn't we as a school board already kind of support to find, to try to get legislation where the private schools and public schools
Separation
are
for
like
playoffs.
2 different double A's?
We did.
Yeah, so this is
Yep.
kind of,
Multiple times, and recently a letter from myself and Director Klein also was lobbying for that as well.
yeah, I think this is kind of blurry line if we would allow them to. They can recruit their own basketball team being a private school.
I mean, I could see the other side of it too, that if we were hugely successful, we could draw some of those, those players. But that's a pretty big reach, I think.
But then if PAAA says, what if we
Yeah.
love these players and they said, oh, they can't compete in
Yeah.
postseason,
Yeah.
then it's not helping us anyway.
I'd love to hear from the baseball team, honestly.
From the baseball coach?
Players,
Oh,
students.
I don't know that they're aware.
Okay, any other comments, questions, discussion? Okay,
If you have further thoughts, call me, text me, shoot me an email over the course of the week, and I'll make some decisions then based on your feedback. Don't, just a reminder, had a month layoff. Don't send emails to the whole board with your, with your thoughts.
okay, well, for the interim, then it'll be on discussion agenda for next week. And vote, great.
Okay, thank you. And the last one for 8 is the dual enrollment. I thought you would have seen numbers in June. I resent them actually today just to give them to you. Basically, we agreed to 1 year to see how it would go. I thought it went extremely well. I think families were very much appreciative of the reimbursement. For us, I look at it as when you look at the number of courses, the number of students served, and the amount of money, basically you're talking about half of one teacher's salary to pay for all of those dual enrollment courses that were taken. And courses, some of those courses that we can't even offer. So, the question is, I mean, obviously we're going to continue with dual enrollment. The question is, do we want to implement those guidelines? And I will say permanently, but nothing is ever permanent if the board down the road wanted to stop it, but I wouldn't bring it every year for discussion. We would implement the guidelines. The guidelines from last year are there. We'd have to change dates. I think the dollar amount was a good dollar amount. Some classes are a little less, some classes are a little more. But even if you were spending a little more, you got the bulk of it reimbursed. So open to feedback on that as well, and glad to move it to discussion if you'd like to.
Is there a chance that the state's gonna pay for that again? Is that what we're hoping? Didn't they cover it?
They did. I haven't seen anything about it though again. We keep looking. I keep asking Mrs. Reardon about it, but they did in the past. I mean, certainly if we have a grant that reimburses, that's even better. That's a no-brainer then, yeah.
I just think with the difficulty with our AP classes or offering them, I feel like this would be a positive as far as offering it to students who can't do the APs.
Yeah, and just to remind everyone, these for us are weighted as AP classes. So from a GPA standpoint, they're weighted as AP classes. Director Nam and I have talked quite a bit. There is a decline in terms of AP classes that are accepted. And so that, you take those classes, you pay for the test, you take the tests, and then depending on where you go or what your major is, it's not helping you. Whereas dual enrollment, especially dual enrollment, if you know where you're going to college, boy, you can really get off to a pretty good start. And while I had mentioned that I heard of one class recently that wasn't accepted, I did find out later that that was a pre-calculus class, so potentially that college didn't accept it because they considered it a below 100. 100's the cutoff. If it's a class 100 or more, typically I've heard that they've accepted those. If it's a preliminary class, sometimes you won't have the right high school classes and they'll make you take usually it's a 0 something something. And those often don't count. Even if you took them at the college, they don't count. So I believe that was probably the argument. that one wasn't accepted, at least initially. So what I see is that most things are.
I think it's a win-win. I mean, I think the students have way more opportunities, and it's not costing us a lot. So I think it's hard to come up with AP teachers and spots to make that happen. So I think for the money invested, I think it's a great return.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to move to discussion? Are we,
I'm not hearing much.
okay, we'll let it go.
Conversation, so we'll put it on consent. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, and the last thing is policy 10.1. Okay, so a little background here. We looked at this again, and so 2 school districts, we looked at 4 different school districts. 2 school districts don't have it at all. 2 school districts have it, but frankly, there's not, it's very similar to ours in that there's very little to the actual policy. The meat of it seems to be in the direction to the superintendent to develop administrative regulations, which I attached the PSBA version of the admin reg for this policy. And I think if you see that and you look through the guidelines that are there, I think it gets to the heart of what we're trying to do in terms of the selection of things, and even gives our musical director the opportunity to consider those things ahead of time. They're on paper. They, it's a pretty well-developed list. So the policy itself, you're voting on the policy. The guidelines would go along with it, but typically those are developed by administration. But the policy itself is pretty straightforward. It's the guidelines that kind of direct the selection of that. And we talked about a few other things. We talked about making sure, tweaking language to make sure things were always put on the agenda in terms of informational, so you know. And to be truthful, after talking with that, then where does that stop? Because I don't, we have a choral concert. Do you want a list of every single song? We have a halftime show. Do you want that whole thing? Every time we do a public performance, which is frequently, it just was going to get out of hand. So basically, we're at a point where we verbalize that we're going to tell you what the musical is, once it's selected in an informational type of item. But the rest of the public performance, we didn't want to put that in the admin reg because then we'd be doing it for all performances, and I don't think that's necessary. So they like that anyway because it's kind of the unveiling of it. So that's the recommendation that we met. That's kind of where we wound up. Director Nam, do you want to?
No, that covers it really well. Yeah.
So just for clarification, are you coming up with different regulations or you're going with the PSBA?
We looked at them. We felt pretty comfortable with them, but I'm open to other, language there.
No, I thought it was good. I just wasn't sure the way you said it.
Yeah,
if you were- okay.
we looked at it and felt they were pretty thorough.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And obviously, we're not voting on the administrative regulation, but just the policy. Yep. Okay. Any questions? Any desire for this to be on discussion? I'm seeing Ben.
No, it's straightforward. It's nicely written.
Okay, great. Then for now, yeah, we'll just put that on consent. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Dr. Messinger in the interim. Okay, great.
All right, and then finally, there is some informational thing. I will tell you that the bulk of the handbooks are there, but there are some tweaks. We continue to tweak that. And that's kind of a live document that we're always, if we see a typo or something, we're making some changes. But you can see that was already approved by Stock and Leader, and just have those there for you. Leanne, can you talk a little bit about the agreement with RX and Go?
Sure. So this was an effective date of August 1st. It is something that will benefit our employees and also the district's budget. For those of you who are on the CBA negotiating committee last time, you'll remember that they had asked us to do the prescription program where it was overseas in Europe, and our employees had to get a passport, and then they could get the expensive prescriptions drop shipped here from over in Europe, and it was a savings. And the union actually asked us to put that on, and we agreed, because it was no cost to us, and it would be a savings for everybody. We've had zero participation in that program, because it's very extensive to be able to get those. So the Lebanon school districts, we kind of had another company come in, it says RX and Go. Now they receive the prescriptions from Canada, which is a lot closer, doesn't require a passport. It's a lot easier for employees to get them. And they ran our numbers. It's for maintenance subscriptions, prescriptions. And what the numbers for the savings were, that if we had 100% participation, everybody that's eligible that gets a maintenance prescription, it would be a $200,000 savings for the district and $100,000 savings divided up amongst our employees. We don't anticipate everybody doing it, but Lauren's doing a great job. She's going to communicate it out and push it out, so maybe we will have that. We were hoping that we get 50%, which would give us the $100,000 saving in our healthcare for the school district and $50,000 for the employees. It's no extra cost for us to administer this plan. It coincides and works with our Highmark insurance. It's just it's basically like the prescriptions when you get them through the mail order, same thing, but it's through RX and Go. I believe they're coming into one of our opening days in October, and they're setting up a table to kind of sit down and talk to employees, help them with these. It's for the ones where you're taking the same prescriptions every month, the maintenance ones. It's not for a one-time prescription. And it should be a significant savings to everybody, especially hopefully for our employees who, have expensive prescriptions. Anything else on it?
Thanks. Some dates to remember. We have new teacher induction coming up soon. We have a paraprofessional in-service day, and then we have our all-staff in-service days in school. First student day, September 2nd. Also, we worked on a trauma-informed approach district plan. That's just there as an informational item. That was for a state requirement. And that's it. That's all she wrote.
Question on the
Yes,
student
ma'am.
handbooks. Have students and parents been notified about our new no cell phone policy?
I believe that I was asked that question earlier today, and I didn't see Dr. Ebert. I thought I had seen it in a one of his newsletters early on, like right after the fact. But we'll get out a separate communication about it shortly. Yeah. We'll get something out. I said I was talking about it earlier today. We're still a month away. Probably try to get a little bit closer before we do, but not don't want to wait too long there. But
I think after school starts, they have a week or whatever to read the handbook and sign off on it or something like that.
Yeah.
They probably need to be notified before reading that.
Yep. What'd you say? Wait till after Tuesday.
Okay, great. Any other questions or discussion?
No, ahead of time.
Okay, then with consent, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.